Okay.
Does
you like?
Can't do a Yoda voice. Saved my life, but
Funny joke! Okay. Anyway.
Okay. That's going in a bloopers reel if we get that.
Oh no.
Okay. Anyway, let's start. 3, 2, 1. How's it going today, ladies and gents, and everything else in between? I am your procrastinator and host, Explosion, here with the Pavlov Scrubs podcast. I am joined today by the Wonderland Family. Can I get a round of applause for Kaza?
Well, that was sad. That was a little
sad.
rabbit. You gotta at least join me in that. Come on, go. Yeah.
Can I get a round of applause for Rabbit? And a round of applause for the slain tower.
You.
How you guys doing today?
Oh, we're doing good. Can't complain.
Getting through life.
Kaza? How you
I'm
doing?
doing quite all right.
Okay. Is there anything you really want to talk about before I really go into questions? Like any Pavlov related things or just anything that you'd like people to know before I start asking questions?
The ump is not that bad anymore.
Yeah.
SMGs still suck, but for its cost, it's actually like gone up.
And also, definite welcome to all the new players that got it over Christmas and all that. We've definitely had a huge influx, so definitely a welcome to all the new players. And don't worry, it's not that scary. You get used to it fast.
No, it's very scary.
Run.
Run. I
mean,
like
for
it.
new
I
players,
like
it
it
can
when
be
my
scary,
prey
especially
run.
if you especially if you come across a bunch of league players in a match and you just feel like you're absolute garbage at the game when you're starting out. That can be rather depressing.
Intimidating. Yeah.
Well, yeah, intimidating is a better word.
Yeah.
Don't be scared if you see Meta. He's good, but he's nice.
Okay, so just to start it off, when did you all start VR gaming? Like when did that become a thing?
VR gaming. I got into it as soon as the Vive released and the Oculus released, like the first gens. Me and my family picked up each of those as soon as they released so that we could try it out and get into it. Because my dad has always been huge into gaming as well.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, it was probably about, I want to say 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. So not right at the beginning, but like I managed to get my hands on a CV1 and just kind of start rocking.
And I started VR gaming in about August of 2019.
Okay. To keep the flow going, let's just have that same order from Slain Rabbit and Kaza, just to keep the flow going, you know?
Very
There we
well.
go.
Works
So-
for me.
Currently, what headsets do you guys have, you know? Like, and why?
So I have a Vive, the OG Vive still. That just the thing's a tank and it just keeps on working. But I wanted to get a little bit of a better resolution, so I recently picked up the Quest 2 and I've been rocking that. Being able to have its like own games on it separately from my PC, and also just being able to play wherever I feel like. If I want to show off to some friends, like, hey, this is the awesomeness of VR, I can pick it up and take it over to them too.
And for me, I got the CV1, baby. It's a true, tested, and reliable tank for when you end up punching yourself in the face and you don't want your headset or controllers to break. And also, it's so nice being able to just like hot swap frickin' AA batteries into the controllers when they die in the middle of a match and not have to be like, I need a charge.
And for me, I use the Valve Index. That thing is made like a Swiss watch, so to speak, but you do have to maintain it.
Yeah, it's like a nice car with leather interior.
Yes.
So, I guess we already kind of got why did you choose them, but specifically, how did you guys find out about Pavlov?
I have to shout out Swagger Souls here, like just offhandedly. I was just watching YouTube and I was watching like the gaming groups that I normally like follow along with, just saw a couple of them, starting with Swagger, playing Trouble in Terrorist Town in VR, which I'd never actually done in any other game. I'd never even played like CS:GO, but it just seemed like so much fun, and I was like, oh man, I really got to try this. So I think it was like a week later after I saw a bunch of other YouTubers pick it up, I just like hopped on and started trying it out.
And for me, honestly, I just kind of stumbled on it through like the you might like section on what was it, like games that you might like on Steam, and I was like, okay, you know what, why not? I'll give it a shot because it was on sale for some reason or other. I can't even remember, but I was like, you know, it's great. Let me pick it up, like 10-15 bucks, and actually, I have to call myself out on it. For the first month or so, I couldn't play for any more than like 15 minutes to 20 minutes at a time because I got super nauseous. I had such bad VR
It's
sickness
not-
at the beginning.
I mean, yeah, that happens a lot. But for Pavlov though, I guess either I had VR legs. I don't really get too much motion sickness, but Kaza, what about you? How did you find Pavlov?
I found Pavlov through YouTube. I don't know specifically, but I kind of saw that and I'm like, that looked like a lot of fun. So I ended up getting that after I got VR, given 2019. It's been out for what, 4 years now?
Yeah.
So yeah, I hopped in after late 2019, and then I started playing and playing and playing from there. Just really fell in love with the game.
So, before you answer this question, I'm gonna guess, but how many hours do you have? And to guess, I'm gonna say, Slain, you have about 900 hours. Rabbit, you told me a while back you had around, I think, 2,000 hours, and that's been a while, so I'm gonna say 2,200. And Keza, you have, this is a hard one. You have 850 hours.
I like the hard call out for 850. Like I like the reaching for it. So I'm actually pulling up my Steam right now because I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, and it's a lot sadder than most people. I have exactly 370 hours on my account for
Wow.
Pavlov.
Wait,
But
how many?
I have 370. But I do believe
Really?
that I was yeah, it's always been on my account. So yeah, I actually have a lot less than most people. I do it in short, hard bursts. So I'll go for hours and hours along at a time because I don't get motion sick at all. And that'll be good for me for a while. And that was how I played early on in Pavlov. Quite often was I'd just go for like 7 hours in Pav for a week in one sitting, and then it'd be done for a bit. And that changed come League, but
Yeah.
that's where most of it came afterwards.
Rabbit, what about you?
Yeah, so I have 1,969.9 hours.
I was pretty close. I said 22 or 21. That
Yep,
was pretty close.
22. Because I remember last time we talked, I was like, I'm pretty sure I've got almost or like around 2 grand. So I wasn't exactly sure because I hadn't checked in a while. But yeah, 1,969, baby.
Wow.
It has to end in
Very
the funny number,
nice.
of course.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And I have 808 hours in the game
Dang.
currently.
Hey, that was
Damn,
close.
So close.
Good guessing, dude.
That was
I was gonna
Spot
say
on.
42 hours off.
Slain was the only one that I was so far off, and I just did because a lot of people, when you come into the league,
You go, yeah, yep.
you put in a lot of hours. Most games, if they're close, take upwards of 2 hours.
I have a problem where I'm also in school while I'm doing this
Yeah.
and holding a job that's so I don't have the abundance of time that some other people have, like outside of like work, where they're done with work, they come home, they hang out, just like VR. I have my time that I can play it with, and I have to work around that as best I can.
Okay, so, last season, Rabbit and Slain, you were a first season team. How did you find out about League?
So I had heard the rumblings of League through just various playing of Pavlov, like around different people. They were just talking occasionally about the League in the game. I'm sure I know now that I ran across like some League players that like we're just discussing stuff in the middle of a lobby, and I was curious like, hey, I kind of wanted to get into like some VR League stuff in like one game or another, and like this seems like a good one about it. So I was keeping an ear out, like trying to ask some questions, and all of a sudden I was playing in it was Barnstorm, and Rabbit and Kazacraze, they were also in there, and Rabbit just starts talking up about how he's looking for a team. He's looking to make a team, and that's how me and Rabbit met and started discussing about it afterwards.
Okay, Rabbit, how did you find out about League?
So I actually found out about it when I saw a post on Reddit about yeah, I know, shut up. But no, I saw a post on Reddit of a guy who was looking to start up a team, Ridian actually. And he was trying to get people to join up. And so I was like, you know what? Why not? I'll throw my hat into the mix. And I told him, I was like, I'm a decent player. I'm not the best, but if it's a startup team, I'd definitely be more than happy to give it a shot.
Kaza, how did you find out about League? Spill the beans.
I found out about League simply by playing Pavlov. I came across players with this PVR League thing in their profile picture. I was curious whether or not it was a joke or not. And then I kept seeing more and more and more. So I looked it up, and there it was. It existed. It had its own following and everything. I was actually rather surprised when I came across it.
I like that you found out through a tag, considering that one of the people on our team still has TTT VR League as part of their profile picture in Steam.
I'm assuming you're talking about Horsey.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, do people in real life know that you play in this league? And if so, what do they think of it?
The people that I'm really close to think it's pretty cool that I'm just like part of an esports team. Considering that like we mention like esports all the time, it's like like this thing that like other people do that like for money and stuff. I'm just like, nah, I'm just kind of like hanging out, in my room, making some space to just like play a match like every week like every week basically. And then some people ask about the sweatshirt that we have, and they know off of just like, oh, what's the sweatshirt about? Just like, it's my league team sweatshirt.
You guys have sweatshirts.
We thought
Yep.
it'd be a cool idea.
And it's probably going to end up being something we do for every season just to kind of keep up a tradition.
Super comfortable too, dude. You picked such nice quality stuff. My girlfriend steals it like all the time.
Hey, I never guaranteed that it would go to you. I just said I would mail it to you.
Yeah.
So Rabbit, does anybody in real life know?
Yeah, actually, pretty much everyone that I know knows that I started a team and that I play. I actually share a bunch of videos and like send out from like either funny moments from matches and stuff, or also just all the links and stuff to people who are streaming it or casting it. And I actually have a pretty strong handful of people that are always like hitting me up, just like, hey, when's the next match? When's the next this? And like,
Really?
who's going to be casting? Yeah, there's actually a lot of interest for it, and just kind of like,
And this is
I think
like,
it's
this. Sorry. This
No,
is
go
like
ahead.
in real life, like people outside of Pavlov, I guess mainly.
yeah, because surprisingly, it's actually also a lot of people that like have no experience with VR at all. And a lot of them were looking at it as like, holy shit, or holy crap, sorry.
You're
Like,
allowed to cuss. We're all 17 plus to play in the league, so.
fair enough. Still trying to be polite here. But yeah,
Yeah.
so there was like, holy crap, it's like, that looks awesome. Like, so you're actually like moving around to actually aim? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, cool. And so they're always asking about like different things here and there and just like actually watching because for them it's a whole new world.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people come from like a lot of those people also just like like play regular like Xbox and like PC games too, where it's like CS:GO or like so that's the one that we're based off of in Pav, or like Call of Duty or Siege or whatever, where they're going through playing online, basically doing search and destroy as well, but they have to do it on a screen and a controller, and then they see this like, oh, someone's actually like leaning, looking around. They pull out the nade and toss it, and they're just like, oh man, that looks kind of cool.
Yeah. You know, that's how it kind of was for me too. Like it's really cool. Like this is something I've never done before. You know, and it was really interesting to me, to see this and you know watch PewDiePie. That's how I found out about it, and he was super confused. And good thing he was the noob for me, so I could find out how to do everything as soon as I logged on the game, and I already knew because I've been playing games since I was really little, you know, like 4, 6 years old, and so you know basics understanding, right? Like being able to like assume what this is and just being able to push a button and knowing it's not going to completely blow up the system or something like that, you know. So but yeah, that's really
They have
interesting
like tutorials.
to hear. Kaza, does anybody know in real life that you play in this league, and what's their reaction to it?
I have a couple close friends and family who are aware that I play in League, and it's relatively supportive. Of course, not all of them play video games. They're not as inclined to the whole esports thing, but they're like, "Hey, cool, awesome! I wish you the best of luck." That whole deal.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. My specific response from it is from people around me. It's mainly my parents and my family, and a few friends that are a little interested but not really. Which is why I was so surprised about Rabbit having people who you know gamed and were so interested in it. But a lot of my parents are like they were like joking, making fun of it because it's a video game and they know nothing about it. They don't play it. They um, don't really see any the interest in it. But when I started like really putting hours in it and talking about it a lot more openly, they became a lot more supportive. So it's kind of good to hear that I have a similar experience. Moving into specific like team stuff, what do you guys look for in a player?
The most important thing that I think we've come across so far has been, and I think this is more of just like a general question. It's probably going to be harder to go down the line as it's more of a discussion among the admins. We try and make sure that people we're looking for fit well within the team. Most importantly, we want them to have good rapport and like be able to play or like joke around with one another before we start considering like, all right, do we want this person on based on their skill? We need to make sure they're actually going to be a part of the team and work well with it.
Yeah, like definitely one of the big things that like we actually do as a team, which kind of throws people off sometimes, but it's like we'll just kind of sit around and voice chat and like even bring up cams and just like kind of send bullshit for hours at a time and just like really get to know each other and like become friends in the whole nine. And it's like it's not just the game or just the team. It's like really a close knit friend group for us. And so the biggest thing is like Slane said, is like we're looking for a personality that will mesh well with the rest of us, that will just kind of really work well and kind of fall into that friend group. Because skill can always improve.
Yeah, skill can always improve, but you got to make sure you can be friends with someone and enjoy them first. It's hard to trust the person next to you to cover your back if you don't just trust the person in general to some extent.
Yeah,
with what they do in the game.
That's understandable.
Exactly. And
so we even just try and bond with our like the friends that are outside of the team as well. In our open Discord that we have, we just sometimes throw unbirthday parties where we invite everybody in to just join us for massive PAV games.
Where we get absolutely drunk.
Raid the massive
rather
server.
entertaining to see.
Just raid it. Wait, how many did we raid the massive server with at one point? Just like 20 people or something?
we kickstarted it, I think, with like around 8 to 10.
We
maybe
started
8 to
with 18, and I think we ended up bringing in 21 people to the massive server.
Yeah, we kickstarted it, and then the moment we all left, there were still 20 people there. So we got it running there. But yeah, as Slane and Rabbit have spoken about, we are Jabberwocky is also looking for players that mesh well with the team. Skill up comes later, as they said as well, and that can always be fixed through practice and tactics.
Mm-hmm.
So, you had a not super recent, but a semi-recent pickup. Used to go by the name Rarity, now goes by the name Horsey. How did that come to be? Like who contacted who first? Like how did you really get to know them? Was it just like as you said, or was there something else that just kind of went into the process of picking her up? You know.
We knew Horsey ahead of time. Some of us more than others like played with Horsey.
Yeah.
Like I think Rabbit, you played with Horsey for a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
before, right? Yeah, I didn't play with her
A lot of
much.
times, yeah.
This was more my introduction to her, but she was just talking to us, expressed interest in like, hey, can I try out for the team? And we were down for like, we talked about it in the admins. Like, all right, is this a person that we enjoyed? We like do like since we know her, like what are the opinions on her so far? And we were like, oh yeah, Horsey, great player, good person. So we're like, yeah, you can jump in on the recruitment tryouts.
Rabbit, do you
Yeah.
have anything to add to that?
Not really. That was pretty much it. It was just like, because it's like, Horsey's always liked us. Like for a long time, she was always a huge Wonderland fan and would try to hop in on games with us anytime we were playing or pugging and stuff. And so when we opened up our, we had a 3-week kind of recruitment time period that we were just trying a bunch of people out. And she hit us up and she was like, "Hey, do you mind if I hop in on the tryouts?" And we're like, "Yeah, absolutely."
Yeah. What should I call it? Yeah, that's something I kind of thought about because it was very obvious. And if anybody really paid attention in the league, they would know that she was going to be joining the team one way or another. I have a big thing with myself where I try to find out who's going to be leaving a lot of the teams and joining a different team, and so I'm like, I really read into their messages. I read a lot of the league chat messages and other Discord messages, and I just see this message that Rarity says, "I love Wonderland" a while back, and I'm like, "Yep, she's joining Wonderland." And then, I see you guys in Discord a little bit because I'm just scrolling to see if there's any games on. I see her in there almost all the time. And I was just like, there's no way she's not joining Wonderland by the end of the season or, at the end of the season. And what do you know? My predictions were right. The only time I think I've ever really been wrong about my predictions was the recent Rect pickup. For those of you that don't know who Rect is, they are one of the best teams in the league, top 3. And I was like, okay, so Basil and Basil. I thought Basil was going to join. I had no clue who was going to join the next one. So I randomly just said Crumb, because he had told me that he was hit up about it. And he said he didn't think he was really going to join, but they had 2 spots, so I assumed it. And then Kamoli just comes out of left field. And the funny thing about that is I hit him up to get a spot on, or to see if I could reserve a spot for Arctic if something went wrong with the thinking tryout. And and he's like, we don't really have our Budgie told him to tell me that they don't have spots to hit him up, and I'm like, oh, I know someone's leaving Arctic, and I was just joking around with him, but he had already planned to join Rect, and so he just has sweat beating down his face. He said, he's like, he's like, does he know? Does he know? Am I about to be caught? And, so, but I was just messing with him, and it's really just ironic that happened. So I thought that was really funny.
Well, props to Kamoli getting into such a high tier team. Obviously, he's got the skills for it, and all to him.
Yeah, definitely. Congrats, dude.
So Rabbit, you created Wonderland, or did you
Yes.
pick a few people with you and you created it together? Like what is that situation?
So after the original team that I mentioned from Reddit last time, after that kind of fizzled out a bit, I left, and a couple of different people just kind of started to ask, like, well, hey, are you going to start a team now? Because I was the second most experienced player on the team, and I was just like, what? Like, I had no like thought about even really doing it, but I was like, maybe, I don't know. And so here and there, like, people just kept asking and asking, and then finally I was like, you know what, well, maybe I will. And you know what, for now I'll just make a team. We won't even really think about league. Like, we'll just have a team, play together, have fun, just kind of see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So and
That was then the introduction of me and Kay. After that, I
Yeah.
believe I'm pretty sure we're the first people you picked up, right?
yep, it was Kay, back when we were still running into each other in TDMs left and right. And at first it was just like we would see each other and they would hunt me down constantly because I was silly. It was like anytime I would start screaming, it's like, it's not bunny hunting season, and they'd be running around, kill the rabbit, kill the rabbit.
You did kind of set yourself up for that with Rabbit.
Oh, I know.
yeah.
But yeah, so it was like, just after a while, I started getting better and better, and then I'd start killing them back. And then it started becoming a 1-for-1, and then after I decided the team, I hit her up and I was like, hey, you know what? I'm like, we've seen each other plenty of times. We've gotten to know each other pretty well. Do you have any interest in joining a team? It's like, I don't know if we're planning on doing league yet, but I just want to get a group of people together.
Mhm.
And she was like, yeah, absolutely, why not? And then actually the very next match, we went into Barnstorm and ran into Flame.
Yeah.
You guys were doing some SMD shenanigans. I remember you were like off fighting. We were on defense together, and the only reason I think I stood up to you was because at one point you guys had died. I managed to sneak around to D's, to where sorry, I was on defense. I managed to sneak around back to the defense point where offense had planted the bomb. They were looking the other way, and I just come around and I do a quick like a sneaky snip on the bomb without anybody looking, which is the first time I'd ever managed to pull that maneuver in the entire game.
You would pull the old meta, as most
I-
players would say.
I
Yep.
love that that's Meta's thing. I genuinely love that that's what Meta's known for.
Just give
And
Oh, yeah.
that I became Meta's friend after that to learn it even better from him.
He's literally giving me straight up PTSD wherever I go to plant the bomb. I'm like, is he around? Because if he's on the other team, I'm checking every spot. He can't, like,
Gotta watch.
a lot of times, like, it doesn't work against me, and there's times where it does 100% work on me, but because he's done it so much to me, it doesn't matter if everybody else is doing what I'm doing. I'm checking every corner that I've ever seen him in, and then some. It is
Yup.
it is just not good. It sucks. It's like, oh yes, I finally just fought 2 different people, and then you just walk a little bit away from the bomb site because nobody really clears it in pugs, and he just snips it, and you just want to cry sometimes. You know?
It could be
That's how-
5v1, and if that one is meta, you do not plant the bomb until you know where he is.
Or you know at least that you can watch from all angles
my
on that
Pretty
bomb.
much. Yeah. So
But yeah, after that barnstorm, it wasn't even then that Rabbit had tried to recruit me. I just remember him talking about it. Me and Rabbit randomly met up in Data Center, and that's where me and him started discussing it.
Okay. So, Keza, this is a specific question for you. How did you end up on Jabberwocky? Like, what was that process like, and how did you create it to what it is right now?
I ended up joining Jabberwocky after Corbett invited me to a team that he was creating, the now Jabberwocky sister team to Wonderland. I don't know how many times I caught him in a public match, because when I ended up conversing with him about that, on how he ended up finding me, and ended up finding me, and apparently he saw me in multiple pugs. I only remember when he found me when he found me in Reach Sky, where I was doing a bit better than I usually did. All my shots were connecting, that whole deal, and then he ended up inviting me to the team. And then from there, I ended up falling into the place of IGL. It wasn't we need IGL kind of deal. I just slipped into the position. It
Yeah.
just happened.
And what's that like? What's being IGL for Team Jabberwocky like?
IGL in game is very stressful and takes a lot of practice.
Do you think
It-
it's the team, or do you think it's
No.
just the general position,
It's-
the weight that you really have to carry?
It's the position that I have to carry that ends up being stressful. It's not the team.
Yeah.
The team coordination is very nice. Of course, we're getting there, but it's nice. It's nice to have teammates that support you, and I'm only as good as the information that I receive.
Exactly.
You're doing really well for
having
your
t-
first, like, not even your first season yet at this point.
Yeah.
No.
So, like, being on a first season team, like, what's going through your head about that? Like, what are you thinking? And I don't mean like
in
how do
my-
you think you will do, but like when you're looking at other teams specifically, and you see that some players have been around since season 1, and we're coming up on season 8. Like, what is that? Like, what runs through your brain when you think about stuff like that?
Well, the thing is, in game, I don't think about that stuff. They're the other team, and we're our team. I don't worry about the whole, oh, they're team wrecked, or oh, they're team thinking. No, they're the other team. Of course, they're team wrecked, they're team thinking, and that's after the fact stuff. But during the match, it's more focused on strategy, because if I lose focus on that, then I don't do as well as an IGL.
Yeah. And not even just that, but like outside of games, like, do you like outside of games specifically, do you ever just kind of look at them and say, wow, like these guys have been here for a really long time, like that we haven't even gotten in our first season, or do you just not think about it at all?
Like, I'm not so worried about the whole first season thing, more so than they have a lot more experience and there is a lot that we can learn from these teams.
I mean, yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense, really, when you think about it. But I was just super curious about that one. What is the origin of your guys' team names? Like, how did you think of them, and then what was like really the process of choosing one? Did you think of more than one, or?
This is entirely a rabbit thing. This
Yeah.
is entirely a rabbit thing.
Okay, so the Wonderland thing is actually a long ongoing name. Anytime I've started up a guild or a clan or a team in like whatever game I've been playing, I always went with Wonderland. And honestly, I couldn't even tell you. Like, really, I've just always liked the whole like Alice in Wonderland concept through the Looking Glass and all that. And the different variations of the stories, short stories, movies, whatever, it just always fascinated me. And so really when it kind of started and I decided to make the team, I was like, okay, well, you know what, it's another game, it's another team, so I'm going to go with Wonderland. And then in terms of Jabberwocky, it was kind of unconventional for what you would expect from a sister team, but for us, when we wanted to start the sister team, we wanted to kind of redirect the focus a little bit, where it's like, as we always joke around and say now, it's like we're the fluff and they're the fangs. It's We had like a lot of people that still wanted to be on a team and stuff, but we have a good percentage of people that are like, we don't want to like dedicate our lives to this. We don't want to be the number one team. We want to work our way up. We want to do as best we can and we want to get there. But it's like we're
Wanna have
not
fun.
going to, yeah, our main priority is fun. So we did want to set up a team where it's like, okay, they are going to go for gold. So normally on a lot of teams, it's like you've got the main team, which is the like, we're going for number one. This is going to be it. And then the sister team is either people that are waiting for a spot on the team, like tryouts or just kind of like additional people. And meanwhile, for us, we're just like, yeah, no, the sister team's the one that's going for gold. we're still here just kind of ditzing around with sawn-offs and grenades. And just being silly.
You've been nerfed a little bit, but that sawed-offs, dear. It's
Believe me, there's a whole lot you can do with stupidity and determination.
I was born into that life. You don't need to tell me.
Yeah. And then in regards to the actual question, the Jabberwocky part, since we were trying to go for something that was going for the top, I figured the Jabberwocky being the dragon from Alice in Wonderland, that would be a good representation as a name.
That makes a lot of sense for why you picked Jabberwocky. So do you think down the line you're gonna just do all Alice in the Wonderland theme, or are you even looking to add another sister team? Really?
I'm looking for it, but like what happens.
Yeah.
The sister team kind of came out of just like people wanted to join, and we were like, all right, yeah, we're pretty down for like having another like place open for all the people that want to like at least try out, since we didn't expect to have a lot of space open in the main team come the next season. So
Yeah, and then even with T-Man, who just recently joined up on Jabberwocky, he actually came for the tryouts for Wonderland. And then as we started playing with him, it was just like, he was like, yeah, no, like I want to get to the top. I want to like really work my way up. I want to be one of the best players. And we're like, yeah, you're a better fit for Jabberwocky.
so we sent him for the tryouts over there. After he was like going through our tryout process, we decided like, maybe you should talk to Corbett and Kaza and see if maybe you'd like to just like join the Go for Gold team, which seemed to be more style anyway, and worked out pretty well, I'd say. Right, Kaz?
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah. Something that I would like to know your thoughts on are your individual Pavlov skills. We're gonna do a 1 through 10 system. 1 being like you can barely pull a pin on the grenade, and 10 being chill step.
All right, I'm a solid 3 across the board. Next question.
All right, you want to go? So I'll start with it. What you got for me? What's the?
Well, yeah, no, that's
what are
for
the
everyone.
skills?
The skills.
Oh,
in
I thought.
Pavlov,
All right,
your
all right. In
overall-
general,
your overall Pavlov skills, like what, like if you tally them all up, right? Doesn't matter what it is. If it helps you win games, like what do you think it is?
My bad. Originally, I thought you were going to go through all the skills and ask for 1 through 10. I guess for Pavlov, I'd have to put myself between somewhere between, I'd say like around like a 6 at this point, because I get less practice than most people, and a lot of my use as an admin on the team comes outside of the game. Yeah. I'm extremely helpful there, and I try to be as best I can. But my inability to practice as much as other people can or get the time in just leaves me always solid at my 6 and like a pretty fine player.
Yeah.
I'd probably put myself as a 7, because there's still plenty of people that dunk on me without mercy, and just like without any sort of challenge. But for the majority of the time, I can still work my way through matches, still get the wins. And I think the major turning point for me was when I could walk into a match and I'd be able to identify who was a threat and who wasn't. And when I started to be able to actually count the names of the people that would give me a challenge, I realized that I was getting better as a player. So at this point, I'd probably put myself at about a 7.
And Kaza?
For me, it really does depend on the day. I could be, well, completely disregarding the puns, I could be between a 6 or a 9. Now,
can we all just get a real quick nice?
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
Continuing, I've improved a lot more on my on the skill as a on my skill as a player, as well as an IGL regarding the tactics. So I'd put myself a little bit on the higher spectrum most of the time, though every now and then you get that off day where you are playing as a 6. Though some games, oh my gosh, I'd be hitting everything and I'd be playing my 9. So
I mean, yeah, a lot of times what people take into consideration is just how well they're shooting, and people don't take into consideration is the IGL. Like I understand 100%. You can't really measure the skill of an IGL 100% because a player, in my opinion, is only as good as the rest of his team. Um, so there is a little bit of a cap because if you don't have your players, most of your players playing well and doing what they're supposed to, or playing out the roles well, you're not going to be able to 100% play your role the best that you can. So I completely understand the whole IGL part of it. Celine, you mentioned practice, and that's something I want to address Rabbit and Slane about. You guys practiced with metastasis?
Oh,
Yeah.
we love Meta.
Yeah.
He's a really good friend of the team, and just us in general. Like we all have just grown to love Meta as a person too.
Yeah, and anytime we have a practice or we know we're doing like some sort of team event, we'd always shoot him the invite of like, hey, if you'd like to join us, you're more than welcome to hop in.
Hop on.
And a lot of times he would, because he usually has a blast just playing with us, and he definitely enjoys the goofiness.
Yeah. So,
Uh.
like how? Like how? What?
How in what
Sorry.
sense?
Yeah. Like, how did you really get him to go there? Like, what did you do? Like,
We didn't. So it wasn't like on purpose. Just to preface, like we accidentally became really good friends with Meta. We just enjoyed being around Meta, and after a while, I guess we just kind of picked Meta up as a person who followed along with what we were doing a lot of the time, and he just started enjoying us too, and everyone just started being like, "Oh, hey, man, we just really trust you. We really like you," and we just grew to be like, at this point, we're just good friends. Like even outside of Pav, like a bunch of us are like friends with him on Facebook at this point.
Ah, gosh, Facebook.
And we just ran into him a bunch of times, I think, right, Rab?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's I think on Uprise, not I think, I know. On Uprise, you know, I knew him as a player on Dream Team, and I knew Dream Team was a really good team, so I did ask him to help out my team, Uprise, in the very start of the season, which started up in season 6, and then died out in season 7, a little while after, in the middle of season 7. So I know that I did it, and it was kind of something that was cool that like I could relate to you guys about. You know, like we both had Meta at one or more practices. You know. And I thought that was something that we could like, an experience that we connect with.
Meta loves to help.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really does. He's an amazing person.
Genuinely.
So,
Apparently this is the shout out to Meta stream. Or
so can you guys predict your rankings for NA and worldwide? And I'll tell you about how many teams there are in NA. We'll go through that first, and then you'll do worldwide. There's about 24 total teams in NA that are active or going to be active, confirmed going to be active. So let's start with Wonderland over here. What do you guys think? 1 to 24. Where do you think you guys lie along that?
I think we're solidly somewhere in the middle, right? Like
Yeah,
somewhere around
pretty
there?
much.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like we managed to kind of claw our way up to 13 this past season, and that was with the entire first half of the season having no clue what we were doing.
Oh yeah.
It was really up until Tarmac casted our match against Cream of the Clutch that's actually where we learned how to function as a team. Because before that, again, calling ourselves out on this, but we had no idea about eco. We didn't know about force buys. I still wasn't buying armor 90% of the time. At least in league
what
matches.
guns got you for like kills,
Yeah.
money-wise.
Yeah, and it's like we just had no concept. So I think at the time we were still down at like 23. I think it was like between like 20 and 23, somewhere in there. And then after Tarmac casted it, and Meta immediately sent us the link, and he was like, "Guys, you would learn a lot from like watching this." I remember me, Slane, and Kay just sat in voice chat and just went over it and started discussing all of the points and everything. And over the next week, we literally just sat down and started implementing everything into practice and started working our way up. So
It
anyway,
worked.
sorry. Yeah, it
Yeah,
did.
no,
But
that's good. I want the juicy details out of all of that. Kazo, what do you think you're going to be lying around? 1 through
I
24.
think. Oh, I think Jabberwocky. Well, I don't have a specific number on that because teams can leave, teams can join. That can be an unknown variable in that regards.
Yeah,
But
but
I think
just
Jabberwocky will sit in mid to high silver at the very least. I think we can get there pretty solidly.
I mean,
That's
yeah, but
that's right where we've placed them. Just on offhand discussion between like me and Rabbit and Cave. Just like, oh yeah, these guys are going like right at the top of silver pretty quickly.
I mean, yeah. And I mean, not even just specifically like with any variables added to it. It's just more or less like, do you think your team's going to be ending 12th place or something, or uh, first place? Something like, it's not. You don't need to really think about the variables of teams leaving, teams joining, because it's just a prediction. You know. So there's not. It doesn't need to be super close. It's just something that you think is gonna happen. So for worldwide, there's about 41 teams, either active or confirmed active or going to be active. Wonderland, where do you think you're gonna lie between 1 and 41?
1 and 41.
Yeah.
Uh, probably
18 to 20, kind of, probably.
somewhere around there. Yeah, something like that.
Like on the higher end of the middle range.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about where we'd place ourselves in our skill level and our practicing.
Yeah. You landed 20 worldwide this season, which is not bad for a first season team because a lot of the teams under you have been around a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So you guys
And
really massively improved over just one season. That's
that's why
not
we're
bad.
hoping to kind of like steamroll right into this next season and see how much better we can do.
Yeah. Kaza, what do you think your team's gonna land at between 1 and 41?
Between 10 and 20.
Mm.
We've been relatively consistent in our practice, and with our discussion we have come to an agreement that Jabberwocky is more often than not the stronger team. So yeah, my guess is somewhere between 20 and 10, considering how Wonderland played this past season.
Yeah. So Kaza, what was it like almost beating Voltron in 3 different maps in a scrim? Because that, I gotta be honest, and Rabbit knows about that. That kept me up for a few hours at night. I was looking at your past scrims, and you guys just, like, compared to the other scrims, you guys did so much better, in the Voltron scrim. I'd like to know what you think, like, reasonings why, and what was really going through your head when you had, like, 9-9 on Reach Sky.
Well, the reason I think why we got so close is not only from practice, but I think we were also playing better than we usually did. Not only that, but also playstyle. I think a more aggressive playstyle tends to do better against a team like Voltron. Voltron tends to play more defensive, at least in my experience. So, and I think those were the factors that led into us getting that as close as we did. Now, regarding skill improvement, that's simply to do with practice.
Yeah.
We're relatively good at learning quickly and efficiently of what our mistakes are, fixing our bad habits. Well, some of them, not all of them.
Don't hunt.
Well.
Something that's almost unbreakable amongst a lot of teams that I've been on.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was a very good answer from you. Do you, out of the or not out of 3, but do any of you guys have pre-game rituals? like anything that gets you hyped? Do you listen to a specific song? Do you just sit for an hour and warm up on Pavlov? Like, what gets you ready for a VR Mile game or scrim?
I guess at this point it is our ritual. We actually usually do a scrim with each other before the match.
Yeah,
So
if we can set it up, we
If
try
we can
to.
set it up, we try and make sure that we can like get on and like warm each other up, or we get our own team. We'll just like warm up by ourselves, like going in together as a team, trying to just like get everything loose, get our aim like down and knocked into the right place. We don't try and like jump onto Pav right as it's starting. We try and like be on there for like an hour ahead of time, just like getting ready, getting warmed up, like actually going into, if we can manage the scrim, then actually getting like right into like the meat of like, all right, how we're gonna play it, as opposed to just going into a pub.
Exactly. And that ends up working a lot better, especially when you're playing against team or full team coordination rather than a bunch of randoms that aren't even that aren't necessarily going to clear sight properly.
Yeah. So you, Kaza, Jabberwocky also does this. They scrim each other or another team right before the game.
That is correct. Yes.
I mean, it seems like it's a good way to do it. To me, you play a game and you play against a team. It'll get you warm up to play against a team. So, you know,
Yeah.
the thought process there is pretty simple. Rabbit and Slane, what was it like being casted?
It was really great to be able to look back on what we've done. All the thanks to Tarmac, being able to look at what he thought we needed to improve on, like sit down and really work on it after knowing like, hey, these are the things that people are saying like we should probably get better at. That helped a lot.
Definitely get better
That's the
at.
turning point for our team actually doing doing relatively well, as opposed to just kind of middling around the lowest bracket.
Yeah. There was no probably in that anywhere. It was definitely need to improve on.
Yeah, I mean, like, but what were your reactions beforehand? Before, like, after all it happened, did you just shrug it off and just say like, "Oh, smile for the camera," or did you guys like?
If you mean in the middle of the game, we actually didn't know. we weren't aware.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like, I mean, really, the biggest thing was just, hey, treat it like another match. Just kind of go with it.
Yeah,
exactly.
So you went the entire Sleepy Juice versus Wonderland game, or most of it, at least, not even knowing that you were being casted, or
that's right. I forgot about the Sleepy Juice one. Yes, we knew about that one. That one we actually
okay.
requested again. But sorry,
Okay.
I
there was
forgot
one
about that
before
one. Yep.
Because the cream of the Clutch one, I did not tell anybody.
Nobody knew. We just went into it completely blind, and then we asked for Sleepy Juice. You're right. Forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that you got casted, even though I did watch the cast live and heard him say, "Rabbit's not buying armor," when the rest of us
Yep. He's got 10K and not buying armor. Why?
He became like a meme
because I'm dumb.
10K no armor. That should be an emote in the Pavlov server. 10K no armor.
But it was fun for me, honestly, knowing like, oh hey, whatever I'm doing wrong here, I can look back and I can have someone pointing out the different things that were like getting incorrect, or like the things that we could have done different to be better in that situation, or get like probably a different result.
Yeah. And I mean, eco, we pretty much we figured that was going to be the biggest thing we needed to fix, and we actually managed to get it down within a week, where it was just we'd hop into just matches and just we'd do like a death match or team death match, and just every time you respawn, buy a bunch of shit, call out your eco, die again, respawn, call out your eco, buy a bunch of stuff, die, and just get used to everyone calling it out. And then just as we practiced S&D after that, we started getting into the motions, and honestly, that alone already started swaying the tides of matches for us, and completely changed how we went into it. And we saw improvements literally night and day changes.
Yeah, any up and coming Pavlov teams or players, make sure that you're paying attention to your economy with your money. That is easily the most important part of any given match.
Yeah. Um, so kind of straying a little bit away from uh the specific Pavlov scene. Do you guys what do you guys think about being called the nicest people in Pavlov?
Oh, it's a
Uh,
wonderful reputation.
In a
yeah,
world of in a world of toxic waste, as I would like to say it.
Not everyone.
Not
everyone's
everyone,
great.
but
Not
there's
everyone's.
quite a few people that I won't name out there.
We don't wanna turn this into slandering
Yeah,
anybody at all.
no,
But
not at
like
all. But there's definitely a few people out there that just push it a little too far
sure,
in
sure.
conversations, and I think you guys are the exact opposite of those people. You're some of the nicest people in Pavlov, as I said, and I think that's I just wanted to
Well,
know what you guys think about that.
it's been something that me, like Rabbit and Kay, have wanted since the beginning. Like it was one of the first things that we like knew was that we were all really like we tried to be nice people and tried to surround everybody with a good energy to keep them up and keep them like enjoying themselves because like as Rabbit said, we're about the fun. Like,
Yeah.
that's the most important part. So trying to create a safe space essentially once we really cultivated the our open Discord as well, we wanted to make sure that everyone knew like, hey, we're not just gonna allow any of this like toxicity in our server. We want a place where anybody in just Pavlov in general can come and just have a good time. We monitor as much as we can to make sure that everything that's like said is like, all right, yeah, this is cool. Like no one's stepping over any lines, no one's making fun of anybody or like yelling at them. No one's causing any like problems between people. Like if you got your own opinions, we have no problem with that. We just want to make sure that it's said in like constructive ways or like ways that aren't just calling people out in any bad like in any way bad or whatever.
Yeah. And that's just and that's not just flattery. Like specifically, I just consider you guys some of the nicest people in Pavlov, and a lot of the times it's a great change of pace from myself yelling a lot. Something that I've been trying to work on, but still, it's a great change of pace.
well,
And-
thank you. It's really appreciated.
Yeah, that's our response to what do we think of it is we really appreciate being like known and like people agree like saying like, hey, you guys are like super nice people and we really enjoyed that. That's exactly what we're going for. We're trying to be the nice place for everyone. We're not necessarily trying to be like the best. We never were trying to be the best of anything. Sorry about that. We were just trying to have a good place for everyone
And
just
to show
do whatever they
people
want.
that it's like, hey, this is possible. It's doable. It's like you can just go into a match and have fun.
Competitiveness leads to a lot of people just like getting a little over the edge occasionally and like being on edge causes a lot of people to just like snap out or like lash out occasionally, which is not their fault. That's just genuine human psychology is being on edge, you're very guarded.
Yeah.
And we just try and show like, hey, when you're around good people and like good moods all the time, that maybe like it stops being part of you, like what you do as well. You just start turning around and start like being really good personality that everyone else enjoys too.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. So just moving on from that, just had to ask your guys' thoughts and opinions. Um, what do you guys think about the World War II Pavlov update?
Ooh, this is a good one. So everyone has their different opinions about the new arcs for like the different throwables essentially, and I think a lot of people just have yet to get used to it. Is my opinion. Like it's a huge change. Like there's a weight adding system now. You can't just chuck your nade and it goes like all the way across the map. You can't just hurl your knife and it just like phew flies into the next person in front of you. So I think a lot of complaints about that are just people not getting used to something that is a little more realistic. Other than that, the tanks, those are awesome. The the instructions included in the tank for how you like move the gun were really helpful. And all of the different guns in the World War II update are really nice.
Had a
A couple
tank
server
for
problems
one.
that need to be fixed, but that's to be expected when you're completely overhauling the game.
Yeah.
Uh,
Exactly.
And I wish I could give you an opinion on it. I have not been able to try the World War II stuff out yet because it crashes me to desktop every time.
Yeah, but like,
He's-
what about all the other changes? There's a few new maps. There's
Yeah.
Stalingrad, Santorini Station. There's the nade changes.
Yeah.
Something I personally think was a very much needed change. I think it needs a little bit more reworking. I think the distance is nice, but the
Fine-tuning.
physics, yeah, there needs to be a little bit of fine tuning on the actual throw motion and whatnot. And
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I mean, at this point, the fine tuning will come with time because realistically, it was just like we all know, and no one can deny there needed to be a drastic change to some of this stuff when it's no longer a game of skill and a game of pinball with a knife bouncing back and forth
That-
between walls.
The,
It's
the
like,
amount of times it just bounced off a wall, flew like 5 feet back, and then hit someone. That like
Yeah.
when that's happening with your knives in like a competitive setting, something needs to be swapped around a little when it's just makes no sense and it's not expected.
And I still have a picture that I saved because I was laughing so hard from it. We were playing on train. Somebody threw a knife down the hallway. It bounced off the wall, fell into the side hall, hit Meta's toe, like literally just the very tip of his boot, and he died. And I have a picture of like an inch of the knife sticking out of his boot.
That was my throw too.
Yep.
What ended up happening is I ran straight up the ramp from B right into bathrooms. I saw a bunch of people and I threw it and banked it off a wall into him. At least on my end. On your end, it may have looked a little bit more crazy.
Yeah.
But-
yeah.
Like,
So
it's all nice.
yeah,
so, like,
and
it-
the grenades personally, I love the changes.
yeah,
I'm a huge fan of the new weight system as well. But that I also like wasn't awesome at the old weight system, at the old like throwing and nades. So that might just be like someone improving, like just because it feels a little more realistic and that's what I'm used to, as opposed to having gotten used to it before.
Yeah. Personally though, I kind of wish the knives were a touch lighter. Not yes.
Not the
cross-state
laser.
knifing.
not the laser beam where it would get a boost. But I kind of would like my knife to not weigh like lead or feel like lead when I try to throw it, where I'm literally having to throw my whole body into it to get it to go over the wall on for example, Mirage, to try and get it over and to take it. But
and you know, Dave's doing a really good job. Like this is clearly his brainchild of like what he's been wanting to do with Pav for a while, is turn it into World War II like mode as well. Because I'm assuming Dave's a huge fan of that sort of thing, which clearly shows in his love for putting this in such a, like, regardless of how like off the mechanics are, the amount of things that he put in all at once really show a dedication and a lot of time and consideration put into it. And I've got to praise him for that.
Yeah, I can definitely agree.
A lot of people are like they've got their problems with it. They've got their considerations for like, hey, I don't like this. But like Dave's put a lot of time into this, and with how much there was put in, there's gonna be some things that he needs to rework.
absolutely.
I still am waiting for like the servers to get an overhaul. I'm hoping that update is like sooner in line as opposed to the other things.
Yeah.
Because some like more clean servers would make the game feel a lot better, and it's still a wonderful game.
of course.
And not only that, but also looking forward, I cannot wait to be able to make my M4 look beautiful, pink, and shiny as I shoot somebody across the map.
Everybody's got their updates that they're hoping for. I'm
Exactly.
hoping for like a complete server overhaul, get everything like you can control like a lot of the like little changes like before the match. Make like invite maybe people through Steam is something that you're able to do in a lot of games. That'd be cool to just be like, hey, you join me on this map.
Yeah, and I guess going towards, or you guys actually beautifully moved me right into the next question. What's one change you would like to Pavlov? Just if anything over anything, it's just a singular change. You know, it could be adding something to the game, it could be taken away, or it could be just changing what's already there. What is it?
Ping issues are something that are forefront in my mind. I'd love for that to get figured out and worked out. That's basically along with my server like overhaul that I'm hoping for is ping gets figured out so that people aren't just like jumping around the map and people with better ping don't just kind of have to deal with it.
Yeah,
You know?
something that is actually planned. Just to let you know about that.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that we see like a solid resolution on it as opposed to just like a little fix. Like ping figured out in a way that's very helpful towards just like everybody, even not just the people that have better ping, but like for the people that have lower ping. So it works out a little more evenly as
Yeah.
opposed to just the people with like higher ping just kind of like running around everywhere like, ugh.
Yeah.
Exactly. Going off of now since Lane talked about the whole ping stuff, I guess I would like to be able to purchase knives again.
Yes.
God, no.
Yeah. Yes.
I was around for about a few months of that, and God, never again.
So I
Well,
think that fix
the
could
knives are
easily be
made of
changed
lead,
where if you've bought a knife this round, you can't buy another one because like you can only holster so many. So like bringing some over like cross rounds like would be entirely like still problematic, but maybe even just put it in deathmatch.
Fine. Because
Or something.
prior to though, the knife was really, really strong. Because before the previous update to this update with the knives would just go right through bodies. You could throw a knife down a hallway and get 5 kills potential, which
Yep.
was oh my god.
It was fun, but so unbalanced.
I actually have a clip of a league game that shouldn't have technically happened because you have to have 3 players in your game. And the last map, one of our players dropped, and we already had 2 ringers. So technically shouldn't have happened, but it did. And it's on Inferno, my favorite map, and we're on a short, and we're playing against Bad Name, the APA C team, wonderful team. And I just go around there, and they're just lined up for me to just get a easy 4K right there. And then because they had high ping, he was able to react without me really noticing, and he was able to take out a knife. On my end, I'm sure I would have seen it and nothing would have changed. But it was just so, it was so stupid, and it definitely needed to be changed.
So the call
Okay.
the change that I call for, that I
I like
think
your-
every player is fine with, is just at least let us buy it in non S&D matches. Because when you're running around in deathmatch and you lose your knife and you just don't get another one when you respawn because you keep your build.
No, you
That
do.
just sucks.
You do. You get it now. You get a new.
You do know? Oh, was that a change recently? I had
Yes.
I
If
just have
you-
not
It's been
noticed.
inconsistent though. Because I've had instances where I wouldn't spawn with the knife and be like,
If you have a
definitely
knife
not
in your
affected, maybe.
hand and then you spawn and you
Oh.
drop it at the exact same time, it might be a little bit of a glitch, but I've not had a single
Okay.
time where I didn't respawn with a brand new knife.
So I mean with
Okay.
like yeah. So in your hand, that like yes, but I mean like when you like if you're practicing your throwing knives in deathmatch,
Yeah.
if you want to keep it, then you have to pick it up before you die.
Or before it despawns.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'd like it outside of S&D matches. You could at least buy a knife or something.
Yeah.
Because in deathmatch, like whatever, no one really like it's not competitive. No one cares if you're running around with 4 knives, and at that point you have no gun. Someone just like with a 50 cal knows where you are, just respawns, shoots you dead, and then just goes about their day.
Yeah.
That's my call for like just put it at least in a deathmatch, just so we can practice our knife throwing a bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rabbit, what about
And-
you?
So I think mine is a little more geared towards what I hope for newer players and stuff rather than for me because I already got my wish. You can't put a red dot on a 50 cal anymore. I am ecstatic. Like I got nothing else. But like really for newer players, I think a matchmaking system would be really helpful because I know when I first started, it's like looking at all these different lobbies and like different things and everything. It's like you have no idea where to start, and then suddenly you jump into an S&D match where you don't know what you're doing, you don't know about the bomb. You forget planting the bomb, you don't know about the bomb, and suddenly it's 5 league players versus 4 casuals and you, and it's like what is going on here? So I think having a matchmaking for like even just deathmatch or team deathmatch with like a checkbox underneath where they could just kind of be like, okay, I don't know where I want to go or where I want to join, but all I have to do is click a button and it'll throw me in a regular match. It would really kind of help them find their way around the game before they just jump into, oh well, this looks fun, and they end up kind of diving into the deep end without knowing it.
Yeah. So what are your guys' preferred weapon, gun wise, on any given round?
So
Mine
round
died.
one,
Not
so
not
round
round one,
one.
but just in any given round. Like if you had to have a gun, you
Okay.
have 16K in your as your economy. What's the gun you're going for?
16K used to be the AUG, but after the nerf, I solidly have to give it to the M4.
Hmm.
Haven't tried too much with the AK-12, but the M4 just with a stock of attachments, not a stock, but like a bevy of attachments put onto it. It feels really good if you know how to use it right, or if you're able to control the recoil in a well enough pattern.
Yeah.
I'm also a
Yeah.
fan of buying 2 flashes and 3 frags.
Yeah.
Readying 2, one in each hand to toss over, and then continue about with the rest of your 3 nades for the rest of the
This is
rounds.
why we can't have nice things, Slane.
Well, we can't anymore because they nerfed you being able to like pull the pin ahead of time on this S&D round. So I guess I can't have my fun.
We could have still had that if y'all just stick to one name.
Yeah, no. We have so many videos of the Wonderland artillery going
Now,
around.
crossbab nades in Siberia and Container Yard are still very possible. It just takes a little bit more thought process onto where they're going to go and a bit more nades rather than just tossing 1 or 2 really well placed nades and just annihilating 5 people.
What do you mean a bit more nades? Is 15 not enough?
To be fair, also now you can't accidentally kill your team at the start of a round. When you
Yes,
throw
that
a
is-
nade,
purpose.
trying to cross map at the other team, and then you accidentally bounce it right back in your spawn. You just stare at it. Round starts, and then immediately the nade pops off and wipes the entire team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's definitely a very beautiful change in my opinion. I don't know. So one change that I understand but I'm not the happiest with. I used to be like even before the update, I actually mained the AK-12 and got a lot of crap for it. I love that gun. And unfortunately with the new update, and I hope it's something that they're still tweaking, but as of right now, the recoil on it is unbelievably high. It went almost to like a Deagle recoil, except on a fully automatic. And keep in mind, this is a gun that I've used like every single day that I've played Pavlov. And I was sitting on tickets, and even with a vertical grip on it, I couldn't hit someone and this is on Mirage. I was sitting on tickets, and I couldn't hit somebody who was standing out in the open on ladder. And I was like, yeah, the recoil is too much. I can't use this anymore.
Yeah.
So my second favorite would have to be the FAMAS. So
Good choice.
give me a FAMAS and 5 nades, and I'm a happy bunny.
There's the nade thing again. Wonderland's a nade team.
Yeah, with the whole nade thing, the main reason why I said that to you, Slane, is because I've been on 2 separate teams that have played Omega on Mirage and have gotten 10-0'd both times. And you want to know what they mainly did? Most of their
Nades.
kills were nades. There was little kills that were because of guns, because we just couldn't survive the nades.
That's something that we actually specifically spend some practices on, is knowing like how to like throw your nades right, where to throw them, and just like getting your nade throwing down, which is something we definitely have to buckle down on, considering the new nading system and the new like arcs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kaza, what's your preferred weapon of choice?
My preferred weapon of choice is the M4.
Mm.
I like the M4. Even in the previous update when the AUG was there, I preferred the M4 because statistically and objectively it was a better gun with a higher fire rate and the same kill time regarding shots to the chest. And it shot, yeah. And the fact that it shot faster means I could outshoot the AUG in CQB and in long range engages, especially with proper recoil control.
Yeah. That makes
It's just the recoil control that's like hard to get down.
enough sense. So, what are your guys' opinions about all OG maps in Season 8? You love it or do you hate it?
I'm indifferent. I'm down for just like basically whatever comes. Like if whatever's thrown in front of me is what I'm gonna use. I'm not like I'm always like this is everyone's gonna hate me for this. Give me back my legend, please. Please, I want legend back. Not because it's like a good map necessarily, but just because I'm a huge fan. I love all the random graffiti around there. I love how like close quarters it is, and like how you can just toss a nade over somewhere, and people have to like just run. I don't know, something I've always been a fan of. But beyond that, there's never been like a map that I particularly cared about. Like if we really want a particular map, like against like a team that we know enjoys fun, we'll throw Data Center as like, hey, you guys just want to run Data Center as like the last map of the night,
That was so much fun.
which is
Ending-
how we ended the whole league.
Yes, we ended our season in a league match on Data Center, and it was fantastic because both teams agreed to it.
But I'm just excited to see what new stuff comes up. I like a bit of change every now and then, and so seeing a lot of new maps come in for like, yeah, this is what we want to put forward. I'm excited.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, with the OG maps, I like that I don't have to be set back with regards to tactics on each map. With regards to map knowledge, Nate throws that whole deal. I get to start on an even playing field, so to speak, with regards to map knowledge. Because let's say a new map like Museum, well, playing scrims on that, let's say if it does get into it, well, we're going to be on a relatively even playing field when it comes to what you know about the map.
Yeah.
Little positions, little nooks and crannies, the angles with which one can peek. Heck, because last time we played, we scrimmed against Wrecked on Cash, we had no idea the different nade spots, and we got hit with some ridiculous angle that we had no clue existed. So it's nice to be able to start on an even playing field in that regard and use our what I think is an advantage of being able to learn quickly. So.
Sure. Rabbit, what about you? What's
So, I'll be honest, I never actually played any of the CS games whatsoever. So for me, all of the maps are OG maps. So I got zero clues. So for me, I guess I'm just happy that it gives more map makers and more people an opportunity to get their maps into the loop. But past that, it doesn't really affect me too much.
I mean, yeah, sure. I get all of your guys' point of views and whatnot. In my opinion, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I hate to see Inferno go. That no matter no matter what team we played against, we always did phenomenally well. Like I think we got on other maps against Dream Team, we Reach Sky, Dream Team beat us 10-1. Manor, we played a lot better than we thought, 10-7. But like against Dream Team, where they, other maps they'll 10-1 us. Inferno 10-7. Like,
I can
with
give
them
you
of
that.
course beating us. Like I hate to see it go.
Yeah, I feel that. Like like when you say it, like there's definitely gonna be maps we'll miss.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Cash gonna hate to see it go. Right? That's
Yeah.
yeah.
I can agree on Cash. I'm personally very, very happy to see Overpass go.
Yeah. Get out of here. Hated the map. Just our whole team was just he really didn't like that map.
I forget which team it was. I can't remember for the life of me. But I remember we went in and it was our ban first and then their ban. And as soon as we got into the match, the guy said, okay, so you guys are banning Overpass and we're going to ban this. And we're like, wait, what? Well, am I wrong? No, you're not wrong.
Got it right.
Yeah, I mean that's really funny.
Happy that Reach Guy's staying.
Yeah, Reach Sky's cool. Probably one of the best looking maps, but when it comes to its competitiveness up in the higher tiers and whatnot, specifically what I mean is playing against people who are on Thinking, playing against people who are on Dream Team. those people, it's just such a small map, and it's
Mhm.
it's just
Well,
really hard to
It
play on
favors
that.
Nate. It favors Nate teams for sure.
Exactly. And that's another thing. But there's also a lot of like points where they can just sit in this one spot uh and just sit there comfortably without worrying about anything at all on like upper B besides someone flanking them. And I think it's a but then there's also like the stairs spot where you can just sit there and it's so hard to take it unless you have someone go through middle, but then you have to, so on and so forth. Yeah, it's an uphill battle, I think, on really both sides sometimes, because it's just I guess a difficult map to play, and that comes with getting better at it. But
Mhm.
if a map isn't competitively viable, it's not gonna get more competitively viable as people get better at it, um and in fact sometimes it'll get less.
I've always gone with the idea that just like sometimes there's just maps that you're better at as a team. Like
Mhm.
teams play in particular ways. We like Kaza said, I forget which team would you reference was like they
Voltron.
yeah, Voltron, they were like weaker to aggressive strategies, I think Kaz says, which clearly indicates a particular play pattern. And particular play patterns work better on maps and certain sides of maps. So I think just for how Wonderland works, we just really like Cash, we really like
Reach
Reach
Sky.
Sky, and we hated Overpass. Whereas I'm pretty sure Jabberwocky, when it still existed, like enjoyed Overpass when it was there.
Um, Overpass was all right. It was kind of there. It wasn't at the top of the list, nor was it at the bottom of the list.
I remember hearing at least two of your players say they enjoyed Overpass. Maybe it wasn't a team thing then, but I didn't hear like a lot of other, or I didn't hear arguments against it, which must have just been like you guys. The rest of you were fine with it. Two of you liked it, which is far better than Wonderland's team of just like almost universally hating it, except for like one or two people.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And with that, really, that's all I really have to ask you guys. Thank you for coming out to this. I know this is well, for some of you this is different. For Slane, I heard you're a radio host, so
I
you might be a
was.
little more used to it, or maybe on the other end where you're asking questions or something like that.
Well, hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been fun.
Is there before we go, is there anything you want to shout out real quick? Just one thing that you can shout out?
Shout out.
Yeah, like if it's a Twitch, a Twitter, a YouTube, something that
Oh,
you just want to, people to follow you on.
Tarmac TV, isn't it? Go to Tarmac TV and watch all the matches on there that you can, if you're new. Those are extremely helpful to
It's worth
even
its weight
older
in
players.
gold.
Also, thanks to Metastasis, just for just being an awesome person. Clearly, all around the board.
Rabbit, is there
Yeah.
any social media you would like to shout out, whether it's your own or someone else's?
Um, Not really. I mean, I guess just if you guys ever want to watch the matches, usually we have type streaming. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, and then I
Yeah,
know.
we'll
Yeah.
put everything in the description on YouTube.
Let me
Okay.
pull that up real fast.
And then for Jabberwocky, definitely watch Corbett's streams. He streams almost every single day. And yeah, just kind of keep your eyes peeled to see how they do next season.
Yeah, Kaza, anything you would like to shout out real quick?
Thank you to all the league players out there allowing us to create this environment with which we can enjoy the game Pavlov.
Okay. Uh, with that, that's going to be the end of the Pavlov Scrubs podcast. I want to thank everyone for listening, especially the people that listened this far, because I don't know why you would, because I'm included in this, but I mean, I guess there's these fine special guests here, which I would definitely stay for till the end. And with that, goodbye.